Hi, Stuart. It's Paula.
Yes, well,
You always tell us to relax, and it makes a difference when we relax. And I definitely feel the difference in myself. Could you talk about how it feels for you when you work on somebody and they're tense versus when they're relaxed? Can you talk about what that's like for you and the experience?
pain in the ass. Look, I mean, I'm here to give it away. I can't give it away if people don't work to open inside. So if they don't work to open inside, I just skip to the next person. I really, it's too precious, this. And one can't be sitting here not doing their inner work. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time. So I don't spend a lot of time with that person. I will talk to them later and say, look, you gotta, but I don't want to disturb the whole class and say, hey, what are you doing? Unless somebody is fidgeting and moving and scratching themselves and whatever, drinking water during class, then I'll say something. But it's silly. It's silly to be here in doing this meditation, which is such an intense and deep inner experience, and to spend 45 minutes just blocking it by not doing the exercise, not opening, being in their head, fidgeting. You know, I don't understand what people like that are doing here. Because I need everyone to be open. I need people to support what I do. I need to give this away. It's the goal of what I do today, is to give this incredible teaching away. And I can't give it away to people that don't do inner work. And it's the same thing when, look, I have a lot of classes that I do every week. And, they're available. Look, yes, I ask people to make donations. I got to pay the rent here. I paid the rent today. I had a a lot of gratitude for people that have made donations this month. I'm writing a check for a lot of money, in order to live here and to do this. But I don't have a lot of patience for people that take this for granted. They show up once a month, once every 3 weeks. Everything else is more important. And I don't have a lot of patience for that. I think it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time. And I think they have to truly make a commitment to understand that if you want to get what I teach, you have to make a commitment to doing it. It can't be something you fit in between 12 other things that you do during the day. It has to be a priority. And like, okay, I will not do 3 things because I have to do the meditation at that time. And when people make that kind of commitment, they really grow inside because it has value to them to be here. They're giving up something to be here. They have a need inside to have a spiritual life. And that truly is the key to all of this. And when that need is real, you understand? It's not so difficult to surrender a lot of these other things that we do instead. And I know that a person that shows up once a month, once every 2 weeks, it's hard to teach them. They've missed so much that has taken place in the period that they've been gone. Because every class is deeper, it's more unique, it's more open. I'm not talking about, people have been sick, and I have a lot of empathy and compassion and try to spend time with them and call them and have special classes with them when people have serious illnesses, and they can't come, they don't have the energy to come because of the illness. But I'm just talking, somebody that shows up every 3 weeks. Well, maybe I'll go to meditation today. And it doesn't have that importance in their life that they make time for it. I have to make time for this. I mean, there's 20 other things I can be doing at this time right now, but this is of such significance and importance in my life that I say, to hell with the 20 other things. I got to sit and do my inner work. I have to learn to grow and serve God and truly build a spiritual life in myself, to continue to develop a spiritual life in myself. So that, that's, I had a guy send me an email who I know, I mean, hey there, I want to do Kundalini yoga. Hey there. That's how he approaches a spiritual teacher. I mean, I don't need students like that. Somebody that says, I want to grow spiritually. I need to learn how to do this. I mean, there's a little humility, I mean, I got an email I got the other day. Hey there, I want to do Kundalini yoga. So let him go find a teacher. There has to be all of these elements involved. I mean, I never could go to Rudy without a flower, without some kind of gift for him. I couldn't. It was just, and when I lived in his house, I did everything from cleaning toilets to keeping everybody in line, and it was unbelievable. And I said, Stuart, what is the big deal? This person has given you your life. He's made it possible to have a spiritual life. What does it matter? You surrender, give anything that he needs to make his life a little bit easier. I remember in Rudy's house, every morning the 20 people used to come for breakfast. I used to make breakfast for 20 people every morning. I mean, it was every morning. I had 20 people there. I make a breakfast for them. I used to go out and buy the eggs and the this and the that and everything. I paid for everything. And I would go and make breakfast for the people. And I learned how to make great scrambled eggs. Rudy used to like them. Come on, how do you do this? This is really good. I mean, I didn't want Rudy to make breakfast for 20 people. There were 20 people there.
Stuart, could you talk about the sacredness in sacrifice?
Well, you have to sacrifice something in order to have a spiritual life. It's not coming to you. You have to earn it by the amount of work you do on yourself, the inner work you do, the service you do in the world, how much you're willing to go beyond yourself to make a situation work. I mean, it's not just, it's coming, nobody's entitled to this. It has to be earned. It has to be earned by one's activity, how one acts in the world, what one is willing to give up in order to get it. I mean, I was asked, I don't want to keep using myself as an example, but Rudy said, go to Texas. The last place on the planet Earth I probably wanted to live was Denton, Texas. I mean that. And yet I went, ran an ashram. I mean, it's incredible. It started out with nothing. It started out with a bunch of crazy kids. There were about 8 or 9 kids. And I think 6 of them left when I told them they had to stop doing drugs. They had to flush all the drugs down the toilet because I'm not going to stay here and Rudy won't come here. And then 6 out of the 9 of them left. 5 out of the 9 of them left. And that's what I had to build an ashram. When I remember Rudy came down to Texas, I'll never forget it. I said, Rudy, it's been a hell of a 3 weeks. He asked me to go there for 3 weeks. He told me, you're on your fourth day. And I said, okay, so this is how the earth was created in 7 days. Huh? Took 9 years to work out 3 weeks, where I finally arrived at a place where I literally felt there was nothing else I could do here. And I had to go to a place that's going to test me more and a bigger opportunity. So I moved back to New York. I figured if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. So I moved back to New York and literally started all over again. But I knew that if I stayed there, I would never have grown anymore. I had finished my growth. So it's all about what we're willing to give up. And even more important, what we are willing to do in order to learn how to serve higher energy in the universe. That's what it's about. To work out karma. And one of the most difficult things is people don't want to do anything. They just, they want to live comfortably. And I tell you, frankly, if you really do this work, you'll never live comfortably. You'll always be on the edge of a major step in your life that's going to require you to grow. You're always going to be willing to take a chance in your life, to go beyond yourself. And the only comfort you have is you build a system inside that enables you to deal with anything that life presents to you. The only security, I've always said this, is a connection with God. Everything else is taken away from people, everything. But you connect with God, you have security. You can deal with anything that manifests in your life. It takes sacrifice, it takes surrender. And you can't live in a life that you're entitled to anything. You have to earn it. And the wonderful thing about this is the more you do, the less you are. Because life gets more complex. And in order to deal with the complexity, you have to get less inside. You have to get simpler inside, clearer, more conscious, capable of making choices, knowing how to live consciously in life. So you can deal with, as I always say, Caesar, deal with all the pressures that life presents to us all the time without ever allowing them to interfere with your spiritual growth, ever. Because all they are is you working out karma, learning how to deal with and live with and open to and consciously deal with life and the activities of life that life demands of us. I hope what I'm saying is clear. I'm not here to berate anybody. I'm just here to share with you a lot of the stuff I've been through in my life and why I have grown in the way I have grown in my life and the way I saw Rudy grow. I mean, most of you have maybe met Rudy once or twice, maximum. I spent 6 years around him, very close to him. And I saw what he had to do in order to grow in his life. And he was the most gifted person I'd ever spent time around in my life. Most spiritually gifted person I'd ever spent time around in my life. And I saw what he went through and how he had to break himself down all the time. And I'm grateful for every one of you being here, because your being here helps me to break myself down. I have to be here. I have no choice. And I have to do the work that can nurture, a fairly sizable group of people that, sometimes come here. And it breaks me down, forces me to grow. It forces me to become more conscious. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart, I have a question. Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob.
This is a quote from Rudy, who says that which causes emotion of any kind is death, for it closes you. I'm not quite understanding what he means by that.
Maybe you should go up and yourself up to him and ask him. Look, Rudy once told me that at the age of 64, he was going to attain a state of Ananda, happiness. And in the last year of his life, he worked so hard that I saw that Ananda take place in him, that joy, that love. He transformed all of that emotional stuff, anger, jealousy, fear, insecurity, to love. To love. And he said, Stuart, nobody's going to take that away from me. Nobody. All the rest of the stuff leads to the grave. I mean, what the hell's going on in the Middle East? It's just a bunch of angry people killing each other. Revenge, we're going to get revenge for, and they're better sitting down and getting some pita bread and some hummus, and having a good, say, hey, we're much better to like each other than kill each other. So, there are lower emotions. Those lower emotions take you to the grave. Fear, insecurity, anger, rage. And the reason they do that is they drain your energy out of you. When you get angry and you have rage inside you, you drain all your energy out of you. It gets pissed away. And you got to spend time rebuilding yourself. But Rudy wasn't talking about love, happiness. That doesn't drain your energy. That fills you with more energy. That allows you to be grateful to God for the life you've been given and the opportunity to grow you've been given, and how things have changed in your life and how you live your life every day. All the rest of the emotions, he was right. They go right to the grave. Jealousy should be one of the 8 deadly sins. I mean, it's just, an emotion that does nothing but destroy life, one's own life and other people's lives. And as you grow inside, those emotions go away. You don't become jealous of anybody, because what are you going to do? You can't control the world, and you can't control how people function and what they do and their relationships and this and that, and who's better than you and who's worse than you. So you have that detachment inside. And you have that detachment because there's joy in your heart. There's love in you. then you understand that everything happens every day as a purpose to teach us how to continue to grow. And yet, really, absolutely head on right, all those lower emotions take us right to the grave and kill us. And the only way you get free of those lower emotions, you got to build a system inside that's strong enough to keep your heart open, to detach yourself from jealousy, fear, insecurity, guilt, all of those emotions that just drain the life out of people. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? We all have them. Yeah, we all have fear, anger, jealousy. We all do. Possessiveness. Somebody else belongs to us. I mean, that's the biggest joke. Nobody belongs to anybody. If you really love somebody, you love them because of who they are and what they are, and you give them the freedom of their life. And if they love you, there's never indiscretion. You understand? People respect each other. They don't have to control each other. Nobody's anybody else's possession. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Yeah, Stuart, it's Eva. So when you're confronted with stress, do you deal with it at that moment, or do you wait to when you're meditating and you burn it up then?
I've learned to deal with, I went down, I had to pay the rent today. We have a lot of trouble in the building I live with, elevators and all kinds of problems. And it makes, there's certain hours of the day here, you get on there's one elevator and it's like riding the subway during rush hour in New York. There's so many people in that elevator. So I met with the guy who's the manager of the building today, and I had to write him a check for the rent. And I just had a conversation with him in a very nice way. And I just told him simply, look, James, if the building is going to be, I just signed a lease here for another year. And I said, if the building is run this way next year, I can guarantee you, I'm not going to be living here. I'm going to find another apartment. I just told him, and it wasn't angry at him. I wasn't pissed off at the management. I just told him in a very nice way. And it just is a manifestation of the growth, because years ago I would have gotten pissed off and yelling at him and fighting with him. And, what can you do? How do you run a building this way? I just simply told him, you're going to have a lot of trouble. You're going to have revolt. There's going to be rebellion in this building. People are talking about picketing the building, because of all the problems that are going on here now. And he said, I understand. And that was amazing. He said, he didn't defend himself. He said, I truly understand what you're talking about. And I don't blame everybody. So that was a way of handling a situation that could have been, years ago, a lot of tension. And I stood up, I gave him the check, I shook his hand, and I said, okay, I'll see you next month. Because I've learned there's a way to do things that you don't alienate people. By just the way you talk to them and you respect them, but you also tell them exactly what you're thinking, but you do it in a way that respects another human being. And this is something I could not have done 10 years ago. There would have been a big fight, arguing, threatening. Takes time to just learn to let the world be and learn how to interact with life without making the situation even worse, without creating hatred and anger and fear and, you know. Well, that was this morning, paying the rent. I don't mind paying the rent. I mean, give me a place to live, you know. I have no problems with paying rent, and, you know, it gives me a place. I'm living here. In fact, my apartment has gotten very nice in the last couple of months. You know, does anyone else have a question? They would like? Okay, if there are no more questions, then God bless you all. Thank you. And there'll be class on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. I tell you all the time, and it really is true. I come here to learn. You all are my teacher. Every single one of you teaches me something unique about myself. So God bless you all. And I just have a lot of gratitude to be able to do this and to share what I've learned with all of you. So thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
And
Good
Love
night.
you.
Good night.
good night.